Hey everybody, I'm so excited to have you here today. We are setting up our cameras. So if you haven't taken it out of the box yet, take it out of the box. If you have, we're excited because we're moving into manual mode. So why do we shoot in manual mode? The number one easiest reason is because it gives you, the photographer, the power behind the camera. See, in automatic mode, or even those semi-automatic modes, the camera is still doing a lot of the guesswork. Whenever you move into manual mode, you take the guesswork off of the camera and you possess the power to tell the camera exactly what to do. And so today, I'm gonna have you set up a few key parts in your camera so that you're ready to start learning how to shoot manual. So the first thing that we're going to set up, once you turn your camera on, is continuous focus. We use continuous focus for those moments that, a lot of you have younger kids and you were saying that it's really difficult to catch your kids in focus. Well, when we use continual focus or continuous focus, then it'll lock in focus to whatever point that we tell the camera to, and then it'll hold that focus even if your subject moves to the side. And so this becomes handy whenever your kids, you lock in focus maybe to their face or their eyes, and of course they're not going to sit completely still because come on, they're kids. And so when they shift, your camera will shift the focus and follow them. And so on my Canon, I shoot Canon. I know several of you shoot Nikon, some of you shoot Sony. That's fine. I'll give you a breakdown of exactly how to set this in your camera. But in my Canon, this is called Al Servo. So in Al Servo, that is where it locks in focus and follows your subject, okay, Al Servo. The next thing that we're going to go over is continual shooting, okay? So what this means is instead of you having to press the shutter and lift it, press and lift to take a picture, you can press and hold your shutter and it'll snap multiple pictures. This is especially helpful whenever you have young kids that move really fast and you want to catch their little smile that they throw, you catch the glance towards the camera. And so to do this, we're going to, in your camera, it's set up as continual shooting. Now, originally your camera comes in single shooting. You want to change it to continuous shooting so that you can snap multiple photos at the same time. The next thing that we're going to set is evaluative metering. And again, these are terms that are used for my Canon. The terms are a little bit different for Nikon and Sony, but I'll list those out for you so that you know exactly what to put. So evaluative metering basically means that the camera is going to see where you pick the focal point to be, and it's going to evaluate the metering or the exposure from that focal point, okay? Instead of taking into consideration the frame as a whole, maybe you have a brighter background and your subject is a little bit darker. It may not get it quite right because again, we have to remember in automatic mode, your camera is guessing. Now it's educated guesses, but it is guessing. So we want to take the guesswork out of the camera and tell it exactly where to meter from. So that would be your focal point. The next thing that we're going to set is your output method. So your images generally come out as JPEGs, but we want them to store as RAW. What a RAW file is it's an image that stores a little bit more information. And so why is that important? That becomes important in post-processing. When we take the photos into editing software like Lightroom, those images have a lot more information stored in them and we're able to manipulate them better. And so RAW images do take up more space, but it's because they're bigger files. They hold a lot more information. They are very powerful files. And so you want to shoot in RAW. So you set that up. Again, I'll show you how, or I'll explain it to you based on your camera body. The next thing that I'm going to have you set up is a central focal point. So your camera automatically comes where it sets up with like 5 or 6 focal points and all of them are deciding where to focus. So you kind of point them in a general direction and then again with an educated guess, they tell you, the camera guesses where you want to focus. When you take the guesswork out, you can pick a single focal point for the camera to use. And so I like to use the center focal point. That's the easiest. That way you don't have to worry about wondering which focal point you're on. I use the center focal point and you can set that up very easily. I'll walk you through how. But we do that because we can tell the camera exactly where we want it to focus with one focal point. It doesn't have to guess, are we focusing on their nose? Are we focusing on their eye? We can tell it, focus on this eyeball specifically, and it'll do it. And so our cameras are very smart, but we can tell it what to do. The last thing that I'm going to have you set is back button focus. Now, if any of you guys were reading through the introduction posts, many people were mentioning that they wanted to learn back button focus. So what is back button focus and why do we use it? Basically, back button focus takes the focus off of when you hold down your shutter, because the way that your camera comes, when you hold down your shutter slightly, if you don't press it all the way, it locks focus, and then you press it all the way and it captures the picture. And so what happens with back button focus is we move the focus point from holding down the shutter to a point on the back of your camera, a button on the back of your camera that you get to select. You select that button so that when you capture pictures, you hold or you press the back button and then you can take your picture. You press the back button and it snaps your focus, and then you take your picture. So why do we use back button focus? I use back button focus because it's faster and because it can lock in your focus point and you don't have to change it every single time that you take your picture. So whenever you use shutter focus, you hold down the shutter halfway to get your focus and then you snap your picture. That can get a little difficult because your focus resets every single time that you take a picture. With back button focus, you can set your focus point by pressing the button and then snap as many pictures as you want until you have to reset your focus again using your button. And so, a lot of people say, well, that seems harder, it adds a step. You have to understand, it's not harder, it's just different. And so if we can learn to use this back button focus, it'll really be a powerful tool for you to use. And I think that you're going to be excited with the pictures that you get. I'm going to walk you through exactly how to set these up on your camera body, whether it be a Nikon, a Canon, or a Sony. I'll walk you through the steps that you need to take to set these things up. And then once we do, this week we're going to practice on our focus using that back button focus because you need to get really familiar with it. And so I'm going to give you some things that you can do to practice your back button focus this week. I'm so excited to see the progress that you guys are going to make. Welcome to manual mode. I promise you'll never want to go back. Let's get started.